Now let's see. Let's pause Zoom recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Patty. This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. We're going to make you a panelist.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Are you comfortable with that, Michelle?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
I think my colleague Miss Pamela King will be joining us as well.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello,
Hi,
Pamela.
Pam.
Hi. I was on first when you're trying to figure it out. You're like, oh, son of a biscuit. I'm like, oh, I was trying to chat and text you, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Me too.
Okay, let's see. Okay, everyone's able to talk. That's good. Perfect. So we just have 2 additional participants that we'll be waiting on for a couple minutes. So no worries. I have a question that everyone can answer, and then we'll kind of be pondering upon this as we kick off the afternoon. So here's our question.
Quick poll. Wait a minute. How have you been able to keep up? Am I supposed to answer this?
Everyone can answer it, hosts and panelists members included. Okay, email. That's all of our votes. So email has been winning out here. Okay. That makes sense. I'll go ahead and end now that everyone has given their feedback. And I believe you all can see the results now too, correct?
No.
I don't see anything.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah.
So email has been the best form of communication. Email has been the most used form of communication to keep families involved. My actual follow-up question would be, how has that been working for families or staff as well, like keeping up with information? Like, how has that form of information been successful for you?
Well, I think for me, there were other things on there since Pamela and I work directly with the school district. We get weekly, sometimes multiple times during the week, updates regarding changes and things that are going on. And then I think social media might be another avenue. I know the school liaison officers have shared with me that there's Facebook updates that occur regarding any changes during the school closure.
That's what I was hoping, like the other section would be pretty much social media, because I myself like to get things from social media as well, just to see what's out there for families, but email for me as well.
Yeah. And you're right, there's all different kinds of social media formats that people communicate with each other. So not just Facebook.
And for me, it's email because it's mainly email since school closures, but mostly everyone has my phone number. So it's by phone or by email.
Yeah, phone is definitely another way. I know Pamela and I do that a lot.
Yeah, we just give our phone number, email phone number, but like, just go ahead and call. Sometimes it backfires because you are always constantly busy, but at least people can get in contact with you immediately and directly.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, looks like everyone's here for the most part. We can go ahead and get started actually with the event, which is Q&A with our school liaison officer, Ms. Patty. She is our school liaison, well, one of our school liaison officers here at Miramar, and she and I had a previous working relationship over on the Navy side, so I'm a little biased, but that's okay. And what we want to do this afternoon is kind of just allow conversation to flow naturally in regards to what's been on parents' minds as of lately, with either schools continue to do social distance learning or the process in between and all together, because I know it's been quite hectic with the different changes on a weekly basis. Sometimes different counties have different things, and I know here in San Diego, we have a lot of schools that kind of are doing different things. So I wanted to get feedback from families as well as professionals as to what that looks like currently on the school face of military support services. As a TEO, I don't have as much access to families as I used to. Being able to go out into the community and speak with families and speak with community providers because of COVID. So this is close to the families and the feedback that I can get currently, and hopefully the information provided today will help us to connect and create other events where we can bring community providers together and with families and kind of get clear communication as to what guidance would be best for whatever family might be going through at that time. So if that sounds like what you came here for, great. We do have our chat box open down here on the right-hand side. However, I do have a Q&A section as well. So you should be able to click on the Q&A and input any questions. And they should be viewable for everyone, so that if we have repetitive questions, you can see those questions already, and we'll be sure to get to that. And if for some reason the Q&A section isn't working, please feel free to have those questions in the chat area so that we can address those questions as they arise. All right, Patty, I'll let you give yourself an introduction.
Hi, my name is Patty Kalai, and I'm one of the 2 school liaisons at MCCS Miramar. I've been a school liaison since 2013. I started as a school liaison at MCRD San Diego, so all of my career as a school liaison, I've worked with San Diego Unified as my main district, but also with Western Recruiting Region and a couple other districts now that I'm at Miramar. We do recognize, and this may be a little bit of a tidbit that a lot of you don't know, in San Diego County we have 42 school districts. And we're also aware we have families who live in Temecula, in Hemet, and all over Riverside County. We also have some families that are living still at Camp Pendleton, who may be stationed in Miramar, and then some that are going to the way of Orange County. So it's just kind of a beast with helping people with their school systems, but people are always surprised when I tell them there are 42 school districts in San Diego County alone. And so with that, if you are stationed and living on Miramar, you are in the San Diego Unified School District, and the neighborhood schools for the whole base of Miramar, no matter where you live, are going to be Mason Elementary, Wagenheim Middle School, and Mira Mesa High School. So because of that reason, we focus a little more on San Diego Unified than some of the other districts. But if you look in the chat box, I did put my colleague Christy Terry and my information and our work emails in there. So if you do not attend San Diego Unified, or if you need assistance after this today, please feel free to contact us and we will put you in the right place. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize in San Diego metro area is the Navy and the Marine Corps school liaisons split up different areas. So based on what cluster you're in San Diego Unified, you may have a Navy school liaison that is a person who's the area responsibility for your immediate school, or you may have one of the Marine Corps school liaisons at Miramar or at MCRD. So we have Naval Base Coronado, Naval Base Point Loma, Naval Base San Diego, all three of those bases. We also work together with, as well as MCRD San Diego and Camp Pendleton. So that's kind of something important to know too. Even though I am your school liaison for Miramar, in your immediate school, you may see another face besides me.
Great input on that, Betty. Forgot all about that. We're just so large. I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you state which schools specifically that you support as well?
Yes. So for the schools that Miramar supports, I have all of the Miramar Mesa cluster schools, the highly impacted Kearney cluster schools, which are Angier, Jones, and Chesterton. And then my colleague has the UTC area. She also has Scripps Ranch area. And then we share the cluster in Sarah, which is where Murphy Canyon is, with the Navy school liaison.
Good, good. And one question that I know that families, our EFMP families, have been facing is the availability of, or not availability, but more so the responsibility of schools to provide certain services because of the IEPs. And with COVID and things like that, a lot of families aren't able to get those services, even though it's written into the IEPs. So has there been any communication or guidance that families can take away this afternoon about how to continue to advocate for those things, even though, we have to be understanding of the times right now? What can they best do to advocate for those IEP needs?
So my own son has an IEP and is enrolled in San Diego Unified. And so every single school has a program manager for the special ed department. And you should have got contact from that program manager, as well as an email. I've got his latest IEP and progress goals just in the last week or two from my own program manager for special ed. We will provide some links to San Diego Unified in a little bit, or I'll put those in the chat box if you are needing some information this summer on who to go to. I do have two San Diego Unified representatives that are not from the special ed department though. So I do want to front load, we cannot answer specific IEP or 504 questions today. If that's something you're interested in the future, we may get a representative to do a Zoom call with us. So just kind of let IPDRA know that. But we're more than able to provide you links to the school district to answer those questions. Or you may email me and I'll make sure I get some answers.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions that might be associated with the IEPs before we go into something completely different, or any question in general?
Well, I just wanted to shout out that IPDRA has next Tuesday on her schedule the one-on-ones with Karen Taylor. And if you have any issues with an IEP or a 504 and you need someone to consult with, we're very fortunate in the Marine Corps that we do have our own lawyer. And Karen represents all of the West Coast, being stationed at Camp Pendleton. And she's great with our EFMP folks. So definitely check into that. She's looked over my own son's IEP and gave me suggestions for goals. So, contact Peter about that. I'm going to put a plug in for that while we're talking this.
Thank you. And actually, to follow up with that, our RSVPs for that event is actually closed now. So families who were able to RSVP by Monday, they are able to schedule a 50-minute consultation with Karen to review their IEP or 504s. and she literally goes page by page and gives the best guidance and support legally for our families who have kiddos with IEPs or 504s. So unfortunately, right now that's closed. Thank you for that segue. But if that's something that our families are looking into, we can connect you with Karen at any time if you're enrolled in EFMP with the Marine Corps. You don't have to necessarily wait for a specific event like the one-on-one consultations. So if that's a question or any additional needs, just let me know.
And I just wanted to share another resource. I don't know if you are aware that we have a special education ombudsman,
Yeah.
ombudsperson, and they have two that actually work right across the office from me, Brett Shuttleworth, as well as Irene Reed. And so if families have an IEP and they want them to just to be a part of it, they're a neutral party, even though they work with San Diego Unified School District. They have all the legal documentations that parents should have and parents should know. So when they join the meeting, they're just making sure that parents are aware of their legal rights and everyone's abiding by the state guidelines. So I'll share that information with the link to their webpage as well as to their email, just in case you have any questions about 504 IEP legal questions, they could better assist you.
And thanks for that, Pam. I've sent lots of families over the years to the ombudsperson, and both Brett and Irene are really receptive and great. And they've actually helped me with my son's IEP as well.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I've seen them at a couple events out in town, and as busy as they may be, they do ensure that families are heard and supported with that process here in San Diego. So they're awesome assets.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to jump in with their question? It could be broad or small.
Well, I can tell you one of the big questions that we're getting a lot from families who are getting ready to PCS here, as well as families who are already here. And that's kind of something that was covered a little bit this Tuesday at the San Diego Unified Board meeting. And I do have two representatives from San Diego Unified, different departments. I'm giving them a chance to introduce themselves and tell a little bit what they do. But families want to know what's going to happen with reopening in the fall. And everybody's, on pins and needles to see. And out of the 42 school districts in San Diego County, so far, board meetings have only released a plan for Cajon Valley and San Diego Unified, if I'm correct on that. I know Temecula just had their board meeting and it was 5 hours long. So we thought the 3-hour San Diego Unified one was long, but Temecula kind of beat it. So there's lots of plans coming out from different school districts, and I know that's one of the things that at MCS Miramar, Christy and I are getting questions from lots of families.
Has after school care been a topic at all during these meetings? Because I know with our military clientele, sometimes they have those long 12 hours, 10 hours days. So, kiddos are either before or after school. And I know we're still premature in regards to things opening up, but has that been a conversation piece at all?
I haven't heard anything about it being slated because the things that they're offering now are just like the proposals and what needs to be put in place if and when we open back up. So I know that we have a department who is heading that after school, but it's going to look so different right now. So they're still planning that out and thinking how they're going to be able to support because of social distancing, and and that's going to limit the amount of students that will be able to be inside of a room. So they're still working on the plan. I can inquire with the director for prime time and then provide you with that information as soon as possible. So I'll see I know that they're working on it, but nothing has been finalized as of yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And one of the things about this time that I think is most difficult for everybody is just the unsurety. Just not knowing I know I can tell you a little bit about the timeline in some of the cluster meetings that I've attended recently, and that was on Monday. The governor released a revised budget. On Tuesday, San Diego Unified had their board meeting to kind of, come up with some scenarios on what it could look like. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, so yesterday and today, the principals were supposed to meet, kind of come up with an individual plan for their site because San Diego Unified is so big. And then with that, they were giving it to their superintendent to give to the superintendent, Cindy Martin of the district. So this whole week has kind of been planning. One thing that was pointed out at the board meeting is, for one, the governor has not approved the budget yet. So even though it was released on Monday, it's still a proposed budget. They gave the, education dollars back, which was a really big win. And then the federal government has not released anything yet. The Senate has not approved the Bureaus Act. So there is not any clear direction right now from the federal government how they're going to fund education. So that could be a big factor, even if we do go back in person on August 31st. If there's no federal money, we might not be able to sustain it through the whole school year.
We have a question here. Thank you for that, Patty. And it states, we are transferring to San Diego from Norfolk, Virginia next month. Our son is EFMP Category 3 and has a 504 established in Virginia. Is it a difficult process in San Diego? And then there's a follow-up question that I think is kind of with this question, so I'll read it together. Would you recommend we reach out to the IEP lawyer you mentioned to review everything in advance? And I'm guessing it's because you're asking is if it's a difficult process here in San Diego. I'll let you answer that, Patty.
Well, they did mention the two BUDS persons, Brett and Irene, and that may be the first step unless you've had issues with your IEP in the past. You may want to get that. I know Pam said she was going to put the information up for those two in the district. I would say that would be your first step. I'm not sure if you know where you're living yet. I'm assuming that if you're living on an installation such as Miramar, you're going to be San Diego Unified. There are, other Lincoln Military Housing that are not San Diego Unified, so that would probably be better to take to Karen Taylor than to Brett and Irene or just for San Diego Unified.
So we got some follow-up information that they will be living in Miramar, Milcon. Okay, so,
yeah, so that would be perfect. I would take it to those two from San Diego Unified, and your schools are going to be Mason and Wagenheim. You're the family I think you are.
And I did put that information in the chat for the families, along with the website. So you're definitely spot on. Contact them first so you'll know exactly what to anticipate and your rights. And then they'll make sure that help guide you through the process. And I'm so happy Patty shared her testimony and how they helped her through the process. So thank you.
And just additional follow-up information based off of what you provided, it sounds like we may be in a Navy family enrolled in EFMP. And I'll just give you a brief overview about how we work together separately here in San Diego. All of our events for that we plan here at Miramar are open to anyone that has access on base. So you can be enrolled in the program or you cannot be enrolled in the program, and that's for any branch of service. And attend our events, and earn the information and network with families. So that's pretty much how it works. However, when it comes to the lawyer, our lawyer, we give priority to our Marine families, but if it's an open event, like the one-on-one consultations where it's a first come, first serve type of support, that's open to anyone who has, again, access to our EFMP offices and EFMP enrollments. Everything else for the most part, again, free for all. We welcome anyone who wants to learn information about EFMP. And we do partner with our Navy correspondents for EFMP for a couple of events throughout the year. And again, with COVID, that might be affected this year. However, Typically on a quarterly basis, we partner with our Navy EFMP counterparts to provide group events. Great questions, great questions.
If there are no more questions, I kind of wanted to introduce the two representatives from San Diego Unified and let them tell a little bit about what each of their departments do, because they're the major departments, other than the special ed department, of course, that work with our military families. And so we do have Michelle from the Children, Youth, and Transition department on the line, as well as Pam from Family and Community Engagement or FACE in the district. So Michelle, are you there?
Hi, yes, good afternoon. My name is Michelle Einsbar. I'm the program manager for Children and Youth in Transition in our department. We meet with our school liaison officers on a monthly basis or more if needed, particularly during the school closures. We were meeting quite frequently in the beginning. Under our department, we actually have 3 federally funded grants through the Department of Defense at various schools in our district. Most of the grants have a STEM focus and also college and career readiness. We have one that just began at 6 of our elementary schools. We're just finishing the planning phases and implementation this next year. So welcome. I'm not sure how many people are on the call. I can't tell, but thank you for inviting me, Patty, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So we have a strong partnership with San Diego Unified, and as Michelle said, if you have anything you would like for us to address in our monthly meetings, or you're also welcome to call the Children, Youth, and Transition Department yourself, or we can call for you or bring up something in our monthly meeting. So keep that in mind. One of the school liaison's jobs are to help you through transition for those of you that are on the way to San Diego. But also, once you get here, if you encounter any difficulties, we become your subject matter experts on things like the local districts, the Military Child Education Coalition, MIC3, the Interstate Compact. So there's lots of different legislation and different organizations that we partner with and we know about. Hey, Pam,
yes.
You've been giving a lot of input, but give us a little bit of your background.
Thank you. My name is Pamela King. I am the program manager with Family Engagement Department, and it's such an honor to be here because I'm a military dependent spouse, as well as I had my son was exceptional family in the Exceptional Family Members Program, and now he's 22 and in college, his senior year. So, and his 504 is following him all the way through. We just had student services send him his plan, so his accommodations. So it's just an honor to be here. What our department believes is that families are co-teachers and co-learners. So as I stated with Patty and the other team members here, is that I came to San Diego, I think it was in 1991, military, young Navy, didn't have a clue, but I just knew I had to get involved. And from that involvement, as just getting engaged as a parent and finding out what it entails as really not just being at the school, but being engaged, it led me to the point that I'm here now. So to be with the Family Engagement Department, partnering with parents, we have workshops that we offer for parents. So whatever the child is learning in the classroom, that's standard-based activities, whether it's reading, writing, math, we have workshops that we provide to the schools as well. And then we have it for the high school level. So parents, you may remember getting that the survey. It comes annually, and we want to get your feedback. This is the California Healthy Kids Survey. And so we take that information to better support the schools and the principals and the families, and we provide those workshops. So our 3 initiatives are educating our families, meaning co-teachers, co-learners. So we have the academic component. Then we have home visits that we also, in the regular school, if school was open, we operate those home visits. Currently, another department doing the home visits. And then we have parent leadership. So we promote all those advisory committees, parents to get involved. And you probably heard of them with the School Site Council, the DAC, District Advisory Committee. We encourage families to get involved with the the special education with the community advocacy committee for special education, as well as DLAC. And so we have a lot of different things that we offer. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put our email of our website into the chat, and then along with my email address if you want to contact me. But the website has all the resources that you need, and things that it tells you more about what we offer. But we're here to support families, and Michelle and I work in tandem together to get the supports to families when they need it, and just to meet them where they're at. So thank you, and it's an honor to be with you this afternoon.
Pamela, I have a question for you, if you don't mind. And you mentioned that you came to San Diego because of the military, but in regards to getting involved and actually, like you said, active within the school district, for the parent leadership and advocacy portion, is there a training like segment, or is there like volunteer first and then we provide training and then you kind of
I'm so happy you inquired about that. So we do. I didn't even mention that that we encourage families to become volunteers. We do offer trainings, but we work with the other departments. So for example, for the SSC or the district advisory committee, we go to the budget department because they would do a training for the parents, because this is dealing with decision making at the schools, and so that comes from the budget end of it. So we partner with the other experts in the district to give that information and trainings to families.
Okay.
And so when you get online, you'll see everyone that we have spoken about, that I've spoken about. All of those advisory committees are online on our webpage, and then you can click on it and it gives you more information. So we encourage parents to get involved. But I've also did what you just inquired. I've gone to give trainings upon it to families or to school communities or parent groups. If they wanted more information, I'll bring information as well as the expert to tell them more about it and how to get engaged.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I am glad that Pam's on the call, because one of the things that people are always intimidated by is the size of San Diego Unified. And I think if you get involved in your child's school, you'll see how small the community can really be.
Yes.
My school, there's only, not only, but there's about 400 students. And, it's encouraging to see all the things that are offered and all the different volunteer opportunities and all the different organizations that step up to support our school systems. And I think if you're going to be in the Miramar cluster, you'll see that's the same in a lot of our schools in that area. And we have some really caring educators that just want our military communities to feel like they're involved with the local community.
Thank you for that. SDSUfamilies.org. So that's a great site to get follow-up information about those advisory committees, correct?
Yes, it has drop downs for you can see all the different. It didn't highlight, so I'm going to put the link so it can highlight in the chat. You'll be able to easily click on it.
Thank you, and that'll be helpful also because we are recording this training, so any additional families that we're able to share this with, they can utilize that information as well.
Thank you.
We've reached the middle marker of our webinar, and I have another poll, but before I get to the poll, I wanted to ask our three panelists or guest speakers, so Patty, Ms. Michelle, and Ms. Pam, based on the weekly meetings that you all have been going to, what's been one of the major concerns that families have been expressing other than what's going on?
So I can speak for our department because we have resource teachers and community assistants who are assigned to different areas, so they get that immediate contact from the families. Yeah. With the distant learning, it was more of how to operate these platforms. With the different Seesaw is kindergarten, so that's really self-explanatory. Parents were able to maneuver that. But when you got into like the Google or the Canvas, well, a parent who's not privy or tech savvy, it was a little difficult. So it's like those how-tos, and as a result of that, we've had videos that actually walks them through with the voice over like PowerPoints, but we're going to create some from a perspective of what if a parent doesn't have a clue how to turn on a laptop or device.
Yeah.
So we're going back because parents are, it's not that they don't want to be involved. We just got to pretend as if it's new to everyone and come from scratch. So that was one of the concerns. And then, and I think we just did a Parents as Partners series, 3 series. I don't know if you heard about those, but we talked about family support. We talked about culture and then like understanding and motivation, self-motivation, because it's difficult when you're at home. Sometimes you're not motivated. And then we talked about the mindfulness and wellness, because parents are going through a lot. They're at home and they're mom, they're co-teachers, their wife. I mean, you have so many different responsibilities, and sometimes we don't take time to make time for ourselves. So Austin, that website as well, but we have those classes, and we're going to continue because parents seem to really enjoy having just those touch points, and those are the reminders to help them get through this distant learning. So it's just kind of like the how can I keep my child motivated, or how can I support my child in their learning, because all of this is new. Yes.
Okay, that's understandable. And Patty and Michelle, have you heard similar things or anything different that continues to kind of spout out from families?
Well, one of the issues that we had with the school-age care, and there weren't a lot of kids attending the school-age care based on the normal ratio, but we did have some kids attending, and so when you have kids in a child care setting, it's very difficult, or impossible. There's no way they could, attend their Zoom meeting that their teacher was doing at 11 o'clock. So that was one of the things that was a concern from a lot of our families that were essential workers, and they're unable to do the distance learning to the extent that they really wanted to, and they were really giving themselves a hard time about that.
And I would echo what Patty shared, because I know we talked about that in the beginning. And then we had a few questions around enrollment and PCSing right before the closure. We kind of handled those on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, so with the stop movement until June 30th, a lot of our families that thought they would be here and maybe be able to register before the school year was over on June 9th, we're not able to come yet. So we're getting calls right now from families coming in July, August, even into September and October. So I think a lot of them are going to end up being on a case-by-case basis and just see what they can do before they get.
And I would be very interested in knowing with the participants any feedback from parents and barriers or challenges that we can support with if there's an opportunity to get that information. How can we best support you? I was also going to share the link to the the most recent, the board meeting, as Patty was sharing about ready to go back to school, that school is going to start on August 31st is the first day back, with the lens of ensuring safety and having flexibility. So I'm going to go ahead and share the link just to that release. And I know that surveys will be coming out asking for more input in terms of what it's going to look like with the school opening. There's still a lot of work to do, but really seeking input from the community for planning reopening.
I thought it was pretty interesting on the board meeting. They spent 60 minutes on public comments. And I wasn't tallying, tit for tat, but I would say about 80% of the parents who supplied that input wanted the children back in school 5 days a week, full time. So, the ones who don't, either they are medically fragile, they're really unsure about the conditions with COVID. There are a few out there that don't like the current public health order with wearing masks or social distancing. But I think the majority of our military families that I've spoken to are comfortable sending their kids back to school. And so, we're waiting to see what that survey says. Sounds like the district's going to give options. And then also, those, like I have a situation with an only child, where he hasn't been around kids since March 13th. And there was a point yesterday where he was in the pool and he's like, Mom, look at me, Mom, look at the pool, Mom, look at me, Mom. And I was like, you need playmates, you need kids in your life. And so I think a lot of us are to that point where that we followed the rules, we've been social distancing, we haven't seen people outside of our households, but we've got a lot of work to do to support our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go ahead and launch up the second and last poll just to make sure that we've touched on the things that I hope to touch for, and as well as leaving space for everyone to touch on things that they'd like to touch on. And for those who may not be aware, ESL is extended school year. And if you're not sure of what extended school year is either, please feel free to put that in the chat. We can have a quick 2 minutes on what that is and how that may be supportive or helpful for kiddos. All right, we're on 2 more votes. And Michelle, I think you were providing this information that the actual back to school date was the 31st of August. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct. And what was shared or approved upon in the board meeting is that there will be 2 options for learning, that students can return to school 5 days a week, ensuring all safety precautions, or families also have the option to opt to doing online learning.
Okay. I would be real surprised of what those numbers look like as well.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm very interested to see how that all works.
All right, we have all votes. I'll end poll and share those results. No one has questions about ESL, which is great. Which is great. But again, if that's a concern of yours, or someone that might have that concern, feel free to provide them Patty's information or any of the links provided in the chat over here for further guidance.
Well, I'm thinking too, for the families who aren't here yet, when you do your IEP and you formally do it extended unified, if you're interested in extended school learning for summer school, it has to be in your child's IEP. So that's something that you want to make sure your case manager at the school that you're enrolled in knows when you're doing the IEP. It's something you can ask for. In a typical year, you get a couple of weeks of 4-hour sessions in the elementary schools and credit recovery in the high school. But for elementary school students especially, it has to be in their own.
Good feedback. We have a question in the chat. It says, do you expect that for the return to school 5-day plan, the classes will be much smaller? Again, I'll be interested in seeing what that survey looks like, because I feel like you might have an even 50-50, so classes may be small or large. What's your intake, Patty?
I mean, they've left it up to each individual principal. Some schools are larger, they have big classrooms, they have availability in other spaces. Some schools are using, if you're not familiar with the California schools or San Diego Unified in particular, some classrooms are in what we call bungalows, which are little mobile classrooms, and they may not be able to hold the current 24 students. So it's really going to depend on how many students go back to the school sites and, how they can change out those spaces. I honestly don't have an idea, even at my own son's school, how that's going to roll out.
Yeah.
I don't know if Michelle or Pam have any insight into the inside circle.
I have not. I know there's planning and soliciting feedback from parents in the community. I know in the board meeting last night there was mention of staggered start times a little bit, and temperature checks. I know our district nurse was sharing that information, as well as staggered lunch. But in terms of the details, Patty, what you said, how that will look at each site will vary depending on the site.
Yeah, that makes
Pamela, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, you guys pretty much cover it all. I just know that they just have to make sure they're adhering to the guidelines from the CDC with the 6 feet, and making sure that, so I'm thinking if everyone has to be 6 feet apart, it may be less. I'm just putting the rationale into the numbers, because there's no way. But yes, and for that reason, they were thinking about that blended, having kids maybe do both, come certain times, so many times a week, and then maybe so many times at home. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Thank you for sharing, Patty, that it's going to be at the principal discretion after they get that feedback from families, but it's still like an unknown right now.
Do we know if that feedback is going to be provided like district wide or like on their webpage about information, or it's kind of going to be with the staff who provided that survey? Because again, I would just be interested in seeing what those results are.
I'm pretty sure it'll be district wide, because the superintendent, gives reports, and I'm pretty sure if they brought it before the board, they have to bring those results back to the public.
In the notes, it does say surveys for parents and guardians will be going out this week, and school communities will be holding virtual meetings to gather more parent input. But it does say if you'd like to watch the board meeting, it is available online. I can see if I can find the link and put it in the chat. It might take me a second.
And I can also reach out to you offline, Michelle, for that information if it takes too much time.
Okay.
And then most parents and community members are thinking along the same line. If someone asks for your input, you want to see the data.
Yes.
So that's why I say they're going to have to post it, because everyone wants to know the results. They're just not going to go from what you told them. They want to see.
And technically that's public knowledge. Public's input
Yes.
is affected, and you have kiddos affected. So that should be public knowledge. So we'll just hope.
Mm-hmm. Most likely it will be. I think it will be.
Additionally, we say, what will the district be basing its distant learning protocol from?
State guidelines. So the state guidelines has some mandated things that they have put in place from the Department of Education along with the CDC. But then we take the inputs of the family. So the first priority is making sure that students are getting a standard-based education for their grade level. And so we want to put that at the top of the line. Even though you're learning from home, you're getting a quality education. And so we heard parents concerned because, you know, when it happened, it was new to all of us, and we were making sure learning happened and it continued. And from that, we learned a lot of things as to parents want that continuity among the teachers, among grade levels, so that you don't have an exceptional teacher here, and then on the other side, you have a teacher who's not communicating any, like, visually with the kids. So they're going from those guidelines and from the feedback of families to ensure that every child gets a quality education and they're getting standard-based education.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, there was a focus group, and the feedback was around health and safety, connecting with teachers through synchronous and asynchronous learning. So synchronous is like same time, like live communication. Asynchronous would be like the teacher puts something up and then you kind of check on it on your time. In school and out of school options, having that flexibility. Equitable access to engaging in a standards-based curriculum, rigorous instruction, and common learning platforms. I know Pamela was sharing a little bit about the Seesaw, the different learning platforms that were being used for online. Having the principals as instructional leaders, frequent parent, teacher, student feedback regarding student academic and social progress, special education, English learners, language immersion supports and services, childcare options, adequate staffing, importance of students' social emotional learning, their wellness and mental health, and also family support and well-being. Those were, that was a lot of the feedback and the focus for educating our students.
Okay. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of information, and that was a lot that was shared in.
A lot of good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. When do you plan for the way forward? Sorry about that, Patty. What was that?
I said this is why I have the two subject matter experts from San Diego Unified. They know their district and they can answer the questions and give the information that might have went over my head in the board meeting.
Yeah, our key players here. We'll get this question here and then I'll let everyone go. I don't want to linger too long here. When do you feel the plan for the way forward will be solidified? Based on the talks and the weekly meetings, do you guys have a soft spot or a plan or a date in mind that you think that families can look out for? I know we have the back to school date of August 31st, so definitely before the 31st.
Oh, it's in plan. It's in the works now. So I know that the principals met with the principals today to give them the plan, like the floor plan of how to roll it out with their families.
Okay.
And so they probably have a timeline, but since it's 2 months away, it's urgent. So I'm thinking probably not, if not the next board meeting. I don't know if they gave a date. It could be the board meeting 2 weeks from now. But they're going to have definite things in place as soon as possible. They just want to make sure that they have venues where all families can give their input.
Right.
So the survey just went out. It's going to go out, well, it went out today. And so they're going to give families time and then gather that information, and then they have to work from the plan of, they have something in place, but then they have to make sure that it aligns to what the families are saying as well. So it's threefold. You got the framework from the California Department of Education, you got the guidelines from the CDC, but then you also got the practicality of, like, what's the reality of our families?
Right.
So how can we all mesh? So they're going to try to do it as quickly as possible, but that's what they're working on day in and day out. I can tell you at the executive table, it's an urgency at this, at this point.
That's good to hear because I know we have some strong advocate families. So San Diego Unified is definitely being pressured. And I mean, it's an understandable concern, you know,
Well,
child
you want
care.
to know. You can't be in the unknown. I
Yeah,
mean, we're in the unknown with the pandemic, but you want to
yeah,
have some definite, especially with our military families, because you have so much, you're juggling with, but you
yeah,
want to have those definites in place, and so you can base your life and your commitments around. So yeah, that's really urgent to make sure that parents have something that they can hold on, or they can pinpoint some type of certainty.
absolutely.
And then if you're interested in checking out the board meeting where the plan is presented, I put the link in there, but I just wanted to let you know that the presentation doesn't start until an hour and 11 minutes into the board meeting. That first part, as Patty shared, was reviewing all the input from parents and community about what the wishes were in terms of returning to school. So that first hour um, was input around that.
That's good to know too. Hear their feedback directly.
Yes.
I definitely learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot, and hopefully everyone has some good takeaways from this event as well. I'll just do a final, oh, by the way, is there any other last minute questions, comments, overall takeaways that anyone would like to state?
I just wanted to thank everybody for attending and say, even though San Diego Unified Schools closed on June 9th, the principals, the superintendents, Michelle and Pam's departments, special ed, many departments, enrollment options, they're still working. So they work in the summer. School liaisons, we don't get any summer breaks either. We're here working for you. And so please feel free to contact us with any questions or concerns, because that's what we're here for, to support these military families. Whether you're on Miramar or another installation, you can make sure that you're connected.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you guys again for inviting Michelle and I to join you, and Michelle and myself to join you. It was a pleasure, it was an honor, and just to remind our guests that we do have the information that we spoke about in the chat, to refer to those the chat for the ombudsman, my email address, the website to the Family Engagement Department, and then the District New Parents as Partners website. And thank you again. I really enjoyed being a part of this today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. And please feel free to reach out to Pamela or myself. Pamela and I work very well together. We're a great team.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. I'll definitely be reaching out to you ladies offline to get your contact information for future referencing. But again, thank you everyone for your input. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Patty, for collaborating with me this afternoon. And if there's any support needed after this event, like if anyone would like any of these links or you're not able to get the links from the chat, just let me know. I'll put my email here so that you can contact me and I can share that information with you afterwards. But thank you all. Thank you.
We look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah.
We thank the both of you. You're amazing. Thank you for what you're doing with our families. We appreciate you.
We appreciate everyone here and appreciate your well. Everyone have a great evening.
Me too. Bye-bye.
Thanks.